Christian College. I welcome you all to this special event, special e-lecture series that the Department of Education has organized, and especially as this event coincides with the 75th anniversary celebrations of our college. So it is all the more special. I welcome you all. Also, on behalf of our principal, madam, she has sent her best wishes to our event, but unfortunately, she's a bit tied up today, so she will not be able to join us today. So, on behalf of her, on behalf of our department, on behalf of our college, I welcome you all to this special event today. And I especially extend my welcome to our special guest speaker this afternoon, Dr. Moshumi Boral. She has graced our college with her presence on many occasions previously as well. So we have had the good fortune of having her with us on many occasions earlier. So I welcome you once again to this platform as we carry on with this e-lecture series. So today will be the third lecture of the series, and she will be delivering her lecture on the educational thoughts of Ivan Illich. So we are looking forward to her lecture. But before I invite her to deliver her lecture, I would like to put forth a brief introduction of her to my audience. Dr. Moshmi Boral, Associate Professor of Shottapur Roy College of Education, Postgraduate Teachers Training Government Aided College of Education, has a teaching experience of 10 years in school and 14 years in college. She has the experience of being academic counselor of B.Ed courses in St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, and Shottapur Roy College of Education. And she also has the PG teaching experiences in Vidyasagar and NSOU distance education. She has over 35 publications in reputed edited books, volumes, and book volumes and journals. She has also authored a book on methods of teaching geography and has presented papers in state, national, and international seminars and conferences. She has an experience of 9 years of teaching in Blind Boys Academy of Ramamurthy Mission, Narendrapur, and is engaged as guest lecturer in the Department of Education and Geography, Calcutta University. She has completed a minor research project under UGC and two NEAC projects under the Ministry of Environment and Forests, Government of India. She is also the recognized supervisor in MPhil and PhD scholars of the West Bengal University Teachers Training, Educational Planning and Administration University. She was also invited for a special lecture on stress in this college and in workshop design for visually impaired learners in our college. So here I present to you Dr. Moshumi Boral. Dr. Moshumi Boral, I invite you to deliver your lecture. We are all ears. Thank you.
Thank you, Mili. Thank you, Shomnath, Shikhadi. As far as I know them, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, straight away, Mili, should I start?
Yes, Moshumi. Yes.
All right. And the thing is that all should mute the mic.
Yes.
And
Special request to all of you. Please mute your mute your microphones and also switch off your video so that there is a better streaming.
Mili, I want to share my screen. So my video, I'll be closing it. So I'll be sharing the write-up and the article so that all the students can see. And moreover, the way going is that I'll be reading one paragraph. I'll be explaining it. I'll go very slow. I've taken the English very lucid and very clear. And I will, as you have instructed me, that I'll be going through 2 or 3 lines in Bengali so that the students can understand the matter in a well manner. So first, what should I do? Should I go through the entire matter in English and then should I go for Bengali?
No, you can do it bilingually.
All right, all right. So we can start now.
Yes.
Hello students, welcome to e-lecture organized by Department of Education, Women's Christian College. I am Dr. Moushumi Boral from Sottopriya Rai College of Education. Today we are going to discuss on even ill rate. So students, let us seek to elucidate an important viewpoint on education that radically challenges the structure of the modern educational system. Now, first of all, I would like to go to a bit definition of of philosophy. Why do we need to study all these Indian philosophers, Western philosophers? Who are these philosophers? Why do we need to study the philosophy? Now, first of all, I would say that philosophy deals with the nature of human mind and personality and with the ways in which man and his institutions can be understood. Philosophy seeks to understand whether man is free or within bondage or whether he can change the course of the history. It endeavors to understand all that comes within the bounds of human experience. Philosophers are men of great intelligence and remarkable insight. So that's why we are studying. We who have been able to see the significance of discrete or the very subtle events in human existence. According to Bertrand Russell in 1957, philosophy is to be studied not for the sake of any definite answers to its questions, but because these questions enlarge our conception of what is possible. But above all, because the mind also is rendered great and becomes capable of that union with the universe which constitutes the highest good. The science deals with realities of nature which are integral part of the life of the child. This interaction and the experiences go to form the philosophy. A child must study, therefore, both science and philosophy to know and understand the truth and reality of natural and human phenomena. Truth and realities of life are propagated by various means of education. Moreover, Plato has stated that true education, whatever that may be, will have the greatest tendency to civilize and humanize those who are under its protection. We will be seeing in our lecture, so I am citing all these definitions in relation to even English. This humanistic definition of education propounded by Plato is still the most widely accepted meaning of education in the West. According to Froebel, instruction and teaching should be reflective and protective and not directive and interfering. Though the Western education philosophers are much eclectic, but have agreed that the growth of human child is possible through the essence of education. Now, I go to the introduction of life stage of even Eldridge. আমরা এতক্ষণ দেখলাম কি ওয়েস্টার্ন ফিলোসফাররা সবসময় বলেছেন যে চাইল্ড ইজ দ্য মোস্ট ইম্পর্টেন্ট ফ্যাক্টর, তার জন্যই এই এডুকেশনটাকে সেইভাবে হিউম্যানিস্টিক তাদের মনের উপরে যাতে ছাপ পড়ে, সেই এডুকেশনটা যেন রিফ্লেক্টিভ হয়, তাদের যেন ভাবনা চিন্তা করতে সাহায্য করে, সেই এডুকেশনটা যেন একটু প্রোটেকশন দেয়। এই মূল মন্তব্যটা, এই মূল যে বক্তব্যটা আছে, এটাই কিন্তু ওয়েস্টার্ন ফিলোসফাররা দেখিয়েছেন এবং তারই ছাপ আমরা কিন্তু দেখতে
পাবো even ইলরিচের বক্তব্যের মধ্যেও। Now let us take a look at the biographical sketch of the Ilrich, who was born in 1920 and lived till 2002. He was an Australian philosopher. He was born in Vienna. His father was a Croatian and a Catholic, hailing from an aristocratic family. His mother was Jewish. Due to his variegated ancestry, Illich had Italian, Spanish, French, and German as his native languages. He majored in chemistry at the University of Florence in Italy. He then studied theology and philosophy at the Gregorian University in Rome from 1942 to 1946 and medieval history at Salzburg. Illich graduated from the University of Salzburg with a PhD in history. His doctoral dissertation was on the well-known historian Arnold Toynbee. Now we are coming to his career. He was prepared for his priesthood at the Gregorian University in Rome and was ordained in 1951. Illich became a Roman Catholic priest and was a priest at a parish in one of New York's poorest neighborhood, Washington Heights, in 1956. At the age of 30, Illich was appointed as the vice rector of Catholic University of Puerto Rico. Being a part of the religious order, gave himself the opportunity to observe closely its organization and functioning. He started developing critical opinion on the church. This was done same thing with Martin Luther also after many years. Closely in the organization and functioning. He started developing critical opinion on the church and its verdict in the north of Manhattan, which was then the home to impoverished immigrants from Puerto Rico. It was during this tenure at Puerto Rico that Illich started expressing his criticisms of the Vatican assertions on social issues such as birth control. It was also at the Catholic University of Puerto Rico that he met education theorist, the famous Everett Reimer, who was a proponent of deschooling, very important concept of Illich. We will be coming to explain it. Deschooling, and had authored several books on educational philosophy. The two became very good friends, and this association laid the foundation of religious ideas on education. Now, Illich was a critic of the forum that contemporary Western institutions had taken, especially those related to education, medicine, work, energy, transportation, and economic development. In 1961, Illich funded the CIF, or Center for Intercultural Forum, which later was known as the CIDOC, Centro Intercultural de Documentación, in Mexico, which was presumably a research center offering to students, mainly the missionaries, from all over the world, had its focus shifted from language to philosophical issues. Illich evolved his ideas on the corruption of Western institutions during lectures and informal discussions at CIDOC. Due to his persistent criticism of the institutional actions of the church, the CIDOC was an organization that came into the gaze of the Vatican as a conflicting agency. এইখানে শুরু হলো চার্চের বিরুদ্ধে কথা বলা কে আরম্ভ করলো যে the church was not the highest body to give all the instructions directives. So Illich was called to Rome for questioning. Illich then resigned from active priesthood. In the late 1960s, continued to be perceived as a priest and occasionally conducted private masses. In 1976, eventually the center was also shut down due to a of factors. From the 1980s onwards, still he traveled in America and Europe, mainly dividing his time between. He was appointed as the Technology and Society at Penn State University in the USA. He also taught at the University of Bremen and the University of Hagen in Germany. So now, students, we are coming to the major four books that was written by Ivan Illich. No one can deny the fact that Illich was drawn compelling attention to the overpowering, self-defeating character of the modern educational system. His radical anarchist view first became widely known through a set of four books published during the early 1970s, beginning with Deschooling Society in 1971, which argued that educational institutions stifle true learning. পুরো দম বন্ধ করে দেয় the schooling system. His subsequent books had a common theme, namely that industrialization and institutionalization had robbed people of their freedom and handed over fundamental aspects of human life to professions and their institutions. He expanded his ideas in Tools of Conviviality in 1973 and Energy and Equity 1974, in which he argued against mass entertainment and mass transport, respectively. He brought the same thinking to his another book known as The Medical Nemesis in 1974. Next, we are coming to the educational principles of Illich. Illich content, this part is very important, students. This part is a bit, you should be hearing it very cautiously, carefully listen to it. Illich content that education is meant to be primarily a liberating experience. This is indeed true. One expects education to liberate oneself from darkness and bondage of ignorance. These are all the views of Illich. According to Illich, education should provide the opportunity for an individual to explore one's potential and use initiative and judgment to develop one's faculties and talents to the fullest, or alternately act at a very basic education to do the learning of specific skills such as language or a craft. Whether education is to do with the acquisition of specific skills or with its more lofty ideal, schools are needed in either case. According to Illich, schools as the highest function are ill-equipped to achieve these goals. The existing format of school education itself is self-defeating in nature. Illich argues that those who routinely use certain skills in their daily life would be far the best persons to teach those skills. However, in actual practice, we function within a system with such natural skills that are not given due recognition or put to good use. More often than not, such natively skilled persons do not have the official endorsement to impart their skills within the ambit of formal system. The educational system demands that only persons with standardized credentials, this is very important. The educational system demands that only persons with standardized credentials, those persons who are officially trained and possess certain qualifications, are certified to be teachers and be allowed to teach. This is the case with all manners of skill training. According to Illich, most learning actually requires no teaching. This was given a view by Illich that most learning actually requires no teaching. Real learning implies involvement of the student in every aspect of learning process. And this view, I think it is the same as naturalistic view of Rousseau also. In the present educational system, students have little say in the decision making with regard to their own education. Their involvement is limited to compliance with the norms and standards. Expressing disappointment at this restrictive nature of institutionalized education, Illich makes the case for self-directed education, supported by volitional social relationships and conducted through fluid informal arrangements. Now, what was the concept of school according to Illich? Even Ulrich has criticized that in modern society, life has become institutionalized, thus diminishing people's confidence in them and in their capacity to solve problems. It kills viable relationships and colonizes life, and such strictures tend to curb innovativeness and do stifle creativity. He opines that experts control knowledge production as they decide what is what and legitimate knowledge is and how its acquisition is sanctioned. Further, he said, schooling is nothing but the production and marketing of knowledge. Learning is considered as a commodity, a thing rather than an activity. Schooling encourages discrimination among people, makes knowledge a possession to be exploited rather than an aspect of being in the world. According to him, counterproductivity is the means by which a fundamentally beneficial process or arrangement is turned into a negative one. Once it reaches a certain threshold, the process of institutionalization becomes counterproductive. Now, the main core or the theme of it, that is de-schooling society, that the school should not be there in the society. The school should be eradicated from the society. According to at the onset, Illich begins by elaborating what, according to him, education ought to be in. The answer for Illich lies in the abolition of schools and the educational system as it exists. Hence, the title De-Schooling Society. According to Illich, de-schooling is therefore at the root of any movement of human self-liberation. স্কুল না থাকলে হিউম্যান লিবারেশন হবে, হিউম্যান থট গুলো বেরোবে। আমরা চাইল্ড শুড হ্যাভ দ্য লিবারেশন অফ থিঙ্কিং উইদাউট স্কুল। Therefore, Illich therefore sees schools as a repressive institutions that stifle creative expression, instill conformity, and crush people into accepting the attitude or the interest of the power and regarding these to be just. Since the school is agency that grants the seal of credentials, they have to accept the acceptance in the labor market. It carries with them an immense coercive power to exact conformity. Graduating from such schools students as citizens continue to use the same yardstick to their life in all walks of their life. Illich has a rather pessimistic assertion that universal education schooling is not at all feasible. What are these quantifiable alternatives? According to Ivan Illich advocated deschooling to meet the dominance of school and institutionalized education due to which knowledge has become more commodified. He argued for the creation of convivial rather than manipulative institutions. Conviviality involves autonomous and creative communication among the persons and the communication of the persons with their environment. Convivial মানে হচ্ছে বন্ধুত্ব স্থাপন করা যাতে তাদের মধ্যে একটা সখ্যতা বাড়ে। Illich has pointed out the negative impact of schooling, criticized the institutions and professionals for the way in which they contribute to dehumanization. Further, he advocated deinstitutionalization or deschooling and more convivial forms of formal educational institutions. His anti-institutional or deschooling argument can be said to have four aspects: critique of the process of institutionalization, critique of experts and expertise, critique of commodification, and the principle of counterproductivity. Now, on the whole, it can be said that Illich's concern for conviviality and his call for the deprofessionalization of social relations has provided an important set of ideas upon which educators concerned with mutuality and sociality can be drawn. This critique of the school and call for deschooling of society hits a chord of many workers and alternative educators. Criticizing the character of other institutions and formations, Illich argued for changes to all institutions so that they may be more convivial for learning. It is essential to find more ways to learn and teach so that the educational qualities of all institutions must increase. According to Ivan Illich, his argument for new formal educational development, learning with or network connected with interest in non-formal approaches and experiments in deschooling is considered a very important contribution to the field of education and should have the following three purposes. To provide all who want to learn access to resources at any time in their life. Number two, to make it possible for all who want to share the knowledge and to find those who want to learn from them. Three, to create opportunities for those who want to present an issue to the public to make their arguments known. So these were three purposes or approaches of Illich. At this point, a book called Celebration of Awareness in 1973 by Illich presented his commitment to a radical humanism against conventional institutions and established ideas of social virtue. Now, what was the curriculum framework according to Illich? We are coming to this point. According to Illich, the student has no control over what he learns and how he learns it. The teaching regime is an authoritarian one, and in order to be regarded successful, the student must learn to comply and conform. The best student is not necessarily the most learned or skilled or the most exceptionally brilliant. According to him, The best student is one who can perform best within the system. Those who excel at conforming are selected for the next level and are suitably rewarded for their competence. He wanted the hidden curriculum, that is the really hidden curriculum is the values and the perspectives that students learn in school that ought to be operating in school. He suggested the use of what he calls skill exchanges that is willing to serve as models for others who want to learn these skills. So one person is going to have the skill, the other person or the learners are not going to have the skill. So the teacher has to exchange the skill to the learners, that is to transmit the skill. And learning with, that is the connectivity, learning with creates a network of teaching and learning among the like-minded people and shall proceed on the basis of creative and exploratory learning to their own initiative to replace the conventional school. So these were the two concepts, that is the learning with and the skill exchanges to replace the conventional school tradition. Illich also advocated the use of technology or the computers. Now, what the teacher should be, he has defined the role of the teacher also. According to Illich, a teacher is a representative of God. I hope you have remembered that initially he was a priest, he was selected as a vice rector. So he was associated with church. So according to Illich, a teacher is a representative of God, and so he has to influence the learner who embodies social norms appropriately. Teacher has to be a guide and a facilitator in the child's independent learning process, especially for his affective domain. He has to transmit knowledge to make the individual learn and possess wisdom in accordance to his psychological capacity so that he behaves in a responsible citizen for societal welfare. This was the main target of the teacher, the function or the role of the teacher, according to Illich. Pedagogy or the method of teaching, what should be? According to Illich, Illich became well known in the 1970s when his De-Schooling Society was published. The work basically argued that the top-down management of schools renders students far less. Illich observed that this top-down management is a syndrome that is typical of the modern technological economy. And all its institutions and in the specific context of education, it is this that prevents the people from or the learners from real learning. He thus views the educational system as the basis of the problem with modern industrial society. Schools, as the primary agency of socialization, become the first and the most crucial stage in nurturing mindless, what he calls mindless, conforming, and easily manipulated citizens. In schools, pupils are taught to conform, and that conformity is rewarded simply. Individuality and originality are not given due respect. It stressed learning on the basis of learner's emotion and self-discovery ways. Now, what was the society like in accordance to Illich? Illich is also scathing and very skeptical in his attack of the role of the advertising. Advertisements allure the consumer and give impetus to the ideology of accumulation. Responding to advertisements and the directives of those in power of the people expand their resources that include time, money, and energy in obtaining these much touted objects of desire, the products of industry. be noted that when he talks of commodities, he means both goods and services, including the services of professionals such as doctors, lawyers, and even social workers. Indeed, Illich is skeptical of all these people. People are pulled through the educational system to believe that they need the services of these professionals from time to time throughout their life. They are taught to show difference, respect দেখানো হয়, তাদের প্রতি একটা আনুগত্য দেখানো হয়. They are taught to show difference and respect for the authority of the professionals and become devoted consumers of the services of doctors, social workers, lawyers, etc. Through this indoctrination by the educational system, they are trained to accept that those in authority know what is best for them and can decide what about their well-being even better than they themselves. নিজেদের থেকেও তারা ভালো বুঝবে, যারা বাইরের লোকেরা রয়েছে তারা ডিসাইড করে দেবে লার্নার্সদের কি প্রয়োজন কি প্রয়োজন নয়, সেটা তারা নির্ধারণ করে দেবে. The learners themselves do not have that liberation of thought যে তারা নিজেদের জন্য নিজেরা কিছু ভাববে. People develop dependency, the learners develop dependency on the directives of state and its arms, the bureaucracy, and various professional bodies. Illich argues that the modern industrial society in its current manner of functioning is ill-equipped to lay the edifice of true happiness and fulfillment in life. He points out that in spite of the immense availability of commodities of the market and the purchasing power to acquire this, people remain dissatisfied. Illich laments the fact that even as trained professionals are incessantly deployed with ever more comprehensive programs to solve social ills, misery, dissatisfaction, and social problems continue to increase alarmingly. The consumer-driven society has only one stock solution for all, that is, the consumption of more and more goods and services. Like Marx, Illich also links the hegemony of tools to the demands and requirements of the economic system. Now we come to the 4 different solutions to achieve the goals in accordance to Illich. Reference first, number 1, reference services to educational objects which facilitate access to things or processes used for formal learning that can be stored in library, labs, museums, factories. Next is skill exchanges which permit persons to list their skills, the conditions under which they are willing to serve as models for others who want to learn these skills and the addresses at which they can be reached. Third, peer matching, a communication network which permits persons to describe the learning activity in which they wish to engage in the hope of finding a partner for inquiry. Fourth, reference services to educators at large who can be listed in a directory with the addresses and self-descriptions along with conditions of access to their services. I hint upon the major critics of Stephen Eldridge. Stephen Eldridge's writings were founded essentially on intuition without any appreciable reference to the results of socio-educational or learning search. His criticism of schooling evolves in a theoretical vacuum and thus remains deeply suggestive. This may explain the limited essence of his educational theories and proposals. Illich's advocacy of deinstitutionalization or deschooling and more convivial forms of education may not make much ground where there is increasing centralized control, an emphasis on nationalized curricula, and a concern to increase the stress bureaucratic accreditation of learning. It is very essential to know that it is not against schools, but once a certain threshold of institutionalization is reached, schools make people more stupid and make a certain threshold more expert. Now we come to the philosophical approaches of elite, his philosophical ideas. Like Rabindranath Tagore, Illich was a naturalist believer that he believed that there should be no strict rules, there should be no boundary, there should be no limit. Education should be open, should be diversified, be creative in nature. According to idealists, I would believe that individuals have to learn and be spiritual and make himself nearer to God. And that can be done by the teacher who was the representative of God. He has to lead a simple life. Individual struggle is necessary for experiences. According to the pragmatics and lifelong learning, so that this education leads to employability. In accordance to the realist, Illich regarded school as a mirror of society, reflecting a true state of affairs. The school needed to be an agency to meet the needs of the child and the demands of the society as well. Moreover, his education voiced that the learner needs to have attained problem-solving skills and to solve independently. Now we come to the conclusion that Ivan Illich is a man of rare courage, great aliveness, extraordinary erudition and brilliance, and fertile imaginativeness, whose whole thinking is based on a concern for man's unfolding physically, spiritually, and intellectually. The importance of his thoughts lies in the fact that they have a liberating effect on the mind by showing new possibilities. Deschooling is thought-provoking and even provocative, but it does not suggest a cogent, workable agenda of function or action. There is no mechanism in Illich's schema through which the anarchy created by the absence of schools can be redeemed. At the same time, his solution may not be workable, but we have to acknowledge that there is a problem, and for that effort, at least even Illich must be resoundingly applauded. And perhaps for that, I think so, initiatives of National Education Policy of 2020 has been taken up. The major highlights of National Education Policy of 2020, perhaps according to Ivan Illich, maybe as I have taken in the bullet, without a full realization of the political and ethical dimensions of conviviality, what happened is not so much deschooling, but we need to have reschooling. Emphasize on learning how to learn, creativity, and critical thinking. Attaining foundational literacy on lifelong learning, facilities of curricular integration of essential subjects and life skills, preparing teachers with latest advances in education and pedagogy. Pedagogy is the art of science and art of teaching. Preparing teachers with the latest advances in education and pedagogy, because teachers are the artists and the scientists for the learners. Creation of higher education institutions with effective governance, leadership, and center of excellence and innovation. So I conclude here. Thank you. Before conveying my thanks, I would like to show you a picture of Evan Ilrich. The picture of Evan Ilrich.
Now it's over to Millie.
Thank you so much, Moshmudi. Thank you for giving such a comprehensive and in-depth, insight into the world of Ivan Illich, especially his educational thoughts and philosophy. So we are moving on. So I would like to request our esteemed colleague, Dr. Somnath Hazra, to give the vote of thanks. So I would request Somnath.
হ্যালো
Yes, Somnath,
শোনা
you're
যাচ্ছে
audible.
শোনা যাচ্ছে তো মৌসুমী
হ্যাঁ সোমনাথ বলো।
হ্যাঁ ভালো আছেন তো?
হ্যাঁ nice to meet you on this platform.
হ্যাঁ থ্যাংক ইউ আগেও এসছেন আবার আজকেও এলেন, ভালো লাগলো। এই আর
খুব ভালো লাগলো। থ্যাংক ইউ।
গুড ইভিনিং এভরিওয়ান।
ভালো লাগছে একটা মানে ভেরি নাইস, থ্যাংক ইউ।
Good evening, everyone. I am honored and lucky to have the opportunity to give a vote of thanks on this special day. I particularly like the speeches of Dr. Mousumi Boral, where she mentioned the contribution of Ivan Illich, the famous educationist of modern times, in an extraordinary way. I would like to express our gratitude and thanks to our respected principal madam for her constant support and lot of encouragement to make this event a successful one. I must not forget to thanks to the head of our department, Srimati Mili Mishra, our respected madams, Srimati Shikha Kaur Choudhury and Srimati Papia Roy, and also to our dear students who contribute to organize this conference until the last hour of this event. Finally, I again want to thank to our respected professors for participating in this seminar. I would like to thank to all of you again for making this event a successful one. Thank you, Milidi. Thank you, Mousumidi. Thank you, Papiadi, Shikhadi.
মিলি, আমি একটা কথা বলতে চাইছি।
Now it's over to Milidi.
I am very thankful to Women's Christian College for giving me this opportunity, to all staff and principal ma'am for giving me this opportunity to deliver my lecture. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Moshmudi. From the bottom of my heart, you are so dear to me. You know that very much. Whenever I think of an event, it is you who comes to my mind every time, because I want you by my side all the time for my students, for my department, for my college. So this is not the last one. I'm going to, dub you again and again and again, so that I can keep making you come back to our college. And it was such a lovely, honor and our pleasure to have you with us. It was such a, insightful session today. And we have all, besides the students, we have the faculty members. We have also learned a lot, because this is within our curriculum. And we have also been listening very patiently to you. And thank you so much for giving us this beautiful session. Thank you so much, Moshmudi. Looking forward to many, many more with you. Thank you so much.